Today we're going to be doing a deck profile on Pokemon Scarlet and Violet's favorite fire type Pokemon, Ceruledge. We're going to be going over the card choices as well as how it pairs well with its newest partner, Mega Lopunny GX. So stay tuned, guys. So before we begin, I just wanted to stress, thank you guys again for checking out my previous videos. That being the Portgasti Ace deck, the Red Blue Ace deck, the Zoroark deck, and the GP Luffy. If you were watching all three of those, I wanted to showcase to you guys Ceruledge because I feel like this is the most beginner friendly deck, especially if you're trying to get into the game and you're trying to learn it from from square zero, and you're just trying to find a deck that's easy to pilot. I feel like Ceruledge would be the deck for you, as it's very easy to pilot and requires, it still does, like all Pokemon decks require thought, but what I find appealing about Ceruledge is that it's very, again, beginner friendly, because the game plan is very straightforward, which is to get as much energy into the discard pile in order to take advantage of Ceruledge's first attack, which is for 1 fire energy, do 20 damage times the total number of energy in the discard pile. So you're able to easily get easy one-hit KOs if you have 15 or more energy into the discard pile, and it's very easy to do with the amount of supporter draw and discard supporters that this deck has. So I felt like I wanted to showcase this deck, especially since I've innovated it a little bit thanks to Phantasmal Flames and with the addition of Mega Lopunny, which gives this deck another option for a support attacker, because that's what I felt was like both the appeal of Ceruledge and its weak spot was Ceruledge. The deck itself gives room for minor innovations, and it just depends on how you wanted to innovate the deck. And I feel like for this one you needed a secondary attacker. You could run there is the non-EX Ceruledge that can be a good secondary attacker, but I felt like you needed more, and Mega Lopunny provides that by allowing you to hit easily 230 with just minimal energy commitment, as well as you can pivot, take advantage of jet energy to pivot into Mega Lopunny to take out an attacker that may pose an early game threat to you, because this deck is more of a late game deck. And what Lopunny does is it gives you at least some early game pressure while you're setting up the Ceruledge, and that's something I really felt like was a necessary addition. So before we get onto the deck profile, just make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Also crack that like button, and let's get onto it. So we're going to start off with the Pokemons. So for the Charcadets, I'm playing 4 copies of the Stellar Crown one. The reason for that is I'm thinking about moving post rotation when we lose Nest Ball, and since we're running the Lopunny line and we're running Baniris, we can take advantage of using Buddy Buddy Poffin to easily get both the Baniris and the Charcadets onto the bench, which is key because you need to be able to quickly get into your Ceruledge EX, which we run 3 copies of, and you're basically using the Ceruledge's first attack, which is Abysmal Flames, which does 30 plus an additional 20 times the total number of energy in the discard pile. The minimum what you need is about 15 in order to KO most things in the game. Most decks are running 20 energy because you still need energy for the attachment, and it's also just useful to have it above 15 to help KO things like Mega Kangaskhan, which runs the Bouffalant, which can run the Bouffalant, the Lively Stadium, and the I think it's the charm. I forget what the name of the charm. I forget it already. Bravery Charm. So this helps make it easy. Like, this allows you to kind of modulate how much damage you need just by discarding energy. So we're playing a 4-3 line, just pretty standard. What makes this deck a little bit non-standard is the fact that I considered playing the Baneri and Mega Lopunny line. And the reason why is, even though they support each other, I feel like I can understand why some people don't play it. It's because the amount of resource commitment to play the Baneri, and that means you're using up your jet energy slot, which could have been used to put another Ceruledge into the active to just get an easy one-hit kill. Now you have to split it between the two. And the reason why I prefer splitting it between the two is because the Mega Lopunny gives you something that this deck drastically needs, which is early game pressure. Because if you use Ceruledge early game to try get KOs to disrupt your opponent's board, you're essentially focusing, you're not giving yourself enough time to build up resources, because you're primarily only using Ceruledge as an attacker. And from my own testing, like having the option of having an early game attacker to help you put pressure on the board, and have Ceruledge just fulfill its job as being a late game attacker that just goes into for the kill, is just very helpful. And plus the retreat cost for Baneri or Mega Lopunny is just 1, so it doesn't hurt your deck, and it only just helps you to have another attacker that can do just easy damage. And then the last EX we're playing is one Pheasantipede EX. This is just a generic recovery resource tool. And then the only other Pokemon we play is 2 Soul Rock, which is an early game attacker that we could play so long as we have one of the 2 Lunatones on bench. And the reason why we're playing the Lunatone is for its Lunar Cycle ability, discard a fighting energy, draw 3. And it's just really broken because it helps you not only set up the energy the energy requirements for Ceruledge's Abysmal Flames, but it also gives you just freedom to thin through your deck to get whatever pieces that you need. And you can also attack with Soul Rock early game to just knock out either a Badoo or a basic a basic Pokemon like Dreepy, Charmander, or even your opponent's Charcadets. So that's it for the Pokemon lines. We're gonna now go into the supporters. We're playing 4 copies of my favorite Blueberry Academy supporter, Carmine. You play 4 of this because just being able to, it's the only generic supporter that you can play at the start of your turn if you're going first, and it just helps you set up your Ceruledge by just dumping whatever bricks that you have in your hand, including the energies, into the discard pile and refreshing your hand. So we need to get energies into the discard pile. This is just a great early game supporter, and you run 4 so you can increase the likelihood of seeing it. Next, I play 3 copies of Boss's Orders. It's pretty much a staple, and I feel like it's just more than enough. And then the last supporter that we're playing is 2 copies of Professor's Research. Professor's Research is basically Carmine but better. But since Carmine is good at the early is better early game, we still need to have some discard when we get to the mid and late game. And the Professor's Research just really helps us get to that point. And then for the items, we play 4 Nest Ball and 3 Ultra Ball. We're gonna move these out of the way. We have room for the other cards. Give me a deck. Next, besides the four Nest Ball and 3 Ultra Ball, we play 2 Fighting Gong. I play 2 counter catchers in this list because this deck moves, even despite the amount of draw supporters it has, it still kind of does move relatively slow in testing, especially with the Mega Lopunny engine, which makes the deck move a little bit slower in terms of like thinning through your deck. So there are gonna be games when your opponent will, because you may not draw the Ceruledge, they might be able to get easy KOs on the Charcadet and the Bahiris. So you might lose, like have to surrender one or 2 prizes early game, which allows you to then turn around and punish them by taking out their like 2 prize utility cards, like with the Mega Lopunny, like Pheasantipede. They still run Squawk in the mirror match. It also just helps you even take out the Ogre Pawns, which is a really good a really useful tool, because sometimes your opponent might just bench or just play an Ogre Pawn into the active, and Mega Lopunny could just one-shot it and helps you just, and then counter catcher allows you to set up that cheeky play of dragging the 2 prize up and then getting into the active with Mega Lopunny and just getting that knockout. So that's why I play 2 copies of Bossasaurus, just to have more gusting options. Next, we play 2 copies of Night Stretcher and then 1 copy of Earthen Vessel. The reason I'm only playing 1 copy of Earthen Vessel is because we're really tight in space, and I wanted to fit in room for other like utility cards, as well as making sure that we run a crap ton of energy to ensure that Ceruledge can easily meet the 15 plus energy in discard pile. So talking about the energy, we're playing 2, 4, 6, 8, and 11 fighting energy. I'm playing 4 fire, 4 jet energy, and then our ace spec of choice 1 legacy energy. So overall, I kind of like this list. There are some things I am going to be tweaking with it, because I feel like this build is just a really fun and very flexible build. But if you're trying to go for consistency, you don't necessarily need the Lopunny engine. I just like it because it offers more flexibility in how you want to like map out your early and mid game. Because if you're running just pure Ceruledge, you're kind of just going all in on the late game strategy, and it leaves you open for early and mid game disruptions, which is what this deck kind of has that's its glaring weak spot, is that its early and mid game is just garbage. And Lopunny just gives you a better, like, that's why I play Lopunny, because it just gives you a more viable early game, and it allows you to essentially equalize make up for its lack of like attacking power early game. So I hope you guys like this video. We're going to be doing another Pokemon deck profile later, and it's going to be on a Joltik box. I'm thinking either to doing a Joltik box deck or a Mega Kangaskhan deck, or even just like a final deck profile, like our Swan Song for Gardevoir and Charizard, because I feel like those two decks do kind of deserve to get one last deck profile on this channel before we say goodbye to them from the standard metagame. So let me know what Pokemon decks you would like to see in the comment section below, and keep an eye out for more awesome content from this channel. I am going to be doing a video discussing my experiences. I've been saying it since I think last year, but I just been really busy, like just compiling and scripting that video, that I didn't get a chance to really sit down and record it. But I do want to do kind of a discussion slash kind of a reflection video of how 2025 went for me, and how my shift into vending has affected me as a both a player and as a collector. So who knows? So if you guys want to hear that mention, please let me know in the comment section below. I also do Whatnot, and so if you guys want to buy cards for my business, or just sit down or just come and chat, we stream every Fridays on Whatnot. So if you guys want to see me there, check me out, check it out. I'll put the link to the Whatnot in the description below. Don't forget to, so this is Platinum Point. Don't forget to rate, comment, subscribe, crack that like button, and don't forget to stay on point, guys. Peace out.